defend something we love. Their nightmare is us.
You must know you cannot win.
That's impressive.
Gather every hunting rifle, every knife, every round of ammunition in the village. Show them no mercy! The time has come. For all that you love.
You stand between us and annihilation.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my Rebel Moon 2 trailer video. They released some footage from Part 2, and they're kind of doing it like Dune Part 1, Part 2. Even though it's like the first movie, the second movie, they'll do more movies if the first two are successful. There's a bunch going on here, so if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Netflix clearly wants to make this their next real big franchise, like their prequels they're working on, their tie-in books. They were also supposed to be making a Rebel Moon video game, but they might have canceled that. I plan to do a couple more videos for the movie, but there's so much stuff happening right now that I'll just try to cram it all into a couple different videos. Careful for spoilers from Rebel Moon Part 1 if you haven't seen that first movie yet. And big reminder too, there is meant to be a director's cut, like they went full Snyder cut. Part of me thinks that Netflix kind of planned it this way though, like we'll release the short one first to build demand for the Snyder cut of Rebel Moon, then we'll release the Snyder cut, it'll be way more popular. Zack Snyder said it's almost like 4 hours long, so they cut it way down for this regular theatrical version of the cut. And I think a lot of the complaints against the movie, like a lot of the criticisms, are just due to the fact that they cut out so much from the movie. And most of the stuff that hit the cutting room floor was the character work. So there's a lot of universe building that's going on during this, a lot of world building. It all seems like really cool mythology that they're setting up. But I think when the director's cut comes out for Part 1, the movie will just wind up being way better. The same way that the Justice League Snyder cut wound up being vastly better than the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League. Rebel Moon Part 2 is coming out in April 2024. I do not know when they're going to release those director's cuts, or if they're going to release a single director's cut for Part 1 and Part 2, just jamming it together, kind of like Quentin Tarantino's Hateful Eight, where they released a bunch of different episodes, and it wound up being an 8-hour long cut of the movie. But at some point, there will be super long versions of all these Rebel Moon movies available. The first movie ends in a pretty abrupt cliffhanger because we know that there was going to be a part 2. Their Seven Samurai space team basically comes back to Velt thinking that everything is fine. Like Admiral Noble, he's definitely dead. They're definitely not coming back, which of course they are. You see it all over this trailer. There are a couple characters that they barely tease, like you barely see Belisarius. There are a couple flashbacks with him and then him in present day. There are a couple scenes on Motherworld. They're a couple flashbacks to the original royal family before they were assassinated, but it sounds like they're saving a lot of that backstory for Part 2. This trailer for Rebel Moon Part 2 also has a bunch more flashbacks for the other characters too, so it seems like we will be getting a bunch more backstory across Part 2. But essentially, it seems like, just based on the trailer, that Part 2 is mostly dedicated to the actual fight, like the other half of the Seven Samurai film, where they basically teach the townspeople how to fight. The armies of Motherworld come back, like Admiral Noble comes back with his dreadnought. They battle it out, but there's a bunch of flashback scenes, and there are a bunch of scenes on Motherworld too in the trailer, so I'll try to put those into context as we go through the video. This person unfurling their cloak might be on a completely different world in the middle of some other completely different battle. There are a bunch of different battles in the trailer, some for different characters, some on different planets. This seems like the war robot Jimmy, but his lights are all red, so it might be a flashback for him before they laid down their arms, so to speak, and declared pacifism. The way that Anthony Hopkins' character Jimmy explained it is that he was created, like his entire models line were created to protect the unborn Princess Issa and lost all their purpose when she was assassinated. So essentially they still have all these battle skills, but they refused to use them, and they're now using them inside the Empire as worker robots. They kind of got into that during Part 1, where all the troopers were trying to assault that girl that Cora saved. He yelled at Jimmy to kill Cora, but Jimmy wouldn't do it even though he picked the gun up. is because all the robots within his model, like him, swore off all fighting when they lost their purpose, when the princess was assassinated. Which they kind of blame on Korra. Like, they don't explicitly say it, but they call her the Scar Giver, quote unquote, which is the title for part 2. Like, part 2 is called Rebel Moon Scar Giver, which is the name that they sound like they gave Korra after the royal family was assassinated. She kind of explained that backstory with Belisarius too. Like, Belisarius assaulted her world when he was younger, then took her in, like saw something in her, but it looks like what he did is he actually set her up as a sort of backdoor to assassinate the royal family and made it seem like she did it herself. Like, he groomed her, gaslit her, till she was close to the royal family, then somehow found a way to assassinate them and pin it on her. Then he seizes power. So if we're saying that Rebel Moon is kind of a riff on Star Wars, like Zack Snyder's alternate Star Wars pitch that turned into something completely different, then he'd be kind of like Emperor Palpatine seizing power from the Senate during the prequels.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I don't know if he has any crazy force powers, but we did see that Princess Issa seems like she does actually have some powers, so a version of the Force might actually exist inside the Rebel Moon universe. If Zack Snyder was going to be doing a Star Wars movie, then the Force would have existed during that. Throughout the first movie, and even in this trailer too, like part 2, whatever future spin-off movies or anything like that, you can see a lot of the analogs for things that he changed to be copyright safe. Like Nemesis uses lightsabers, but they're kind of like plasma weapons that look like lightsabers. Drippy looking lightsabers. Lucasfilm, please don't sue us. This next scene just seems like Admiral Noble's dreadnought just moving through space on their way back to Velt. We see General Titus getting ready to address the townspeople. Like I said, this is like the other half of the Seven Samurai movie, with them arming up the village, teaching them how to fight. We get the voiceover from Korra talking to the townspeople, talking about how the Mother World is deathly afraid of the other worlds in the universe rebelling against them. They're afraid of us, like all the regular people out there turning against them. That's part of why one of the first things that Belisarius did when he seized power was to try and stamp out any form of rebellion so that it wouldn't spread and become a much bigger thing. There's a brief slow-mo montage. We're talking about Zack Snyder here, so it wouldn't be Zack Snyder if there wasn't a bunch of slow-mo in his movies. Them basically in the middle of their pitched ground assault. This is the Dreadnought arriving back at Velt. This is like that giant red planet that you saw at the beginning of the first movie right next to Velt. Robot Jimmy basically telling Korra to take the L on this. There's no way you can win. What they might do during the course of the movie is part of Jimmy's arc, as he might find a reason to fight again. Like, he's in pacifism mode now since Princess Issa was assassinated. If he doesn't know already, he'll probably learn that Korra was involved in her assassination, even if she didn't do it herself. But I think we're building up to the moment where Robot Jimmy also picks up arms and finds a reason to fight against the Empire with them. This is just another scene from that inner chamber on Admiral Noble's dreadnought of him being shocked in that pool of fluid. Not totally sure exactly how it works here, like what fluid are they pumping into him and out of him? Most of his body seems like it's cybernetic. He's meant to be kind of like the Darth Vader in this Star Wars equation. Like a more space Nazi version of Darth Vader. Looks like they used this to resuscitate him, keep him alive, because he was on the edge of death at the end of the last movie. He hadn't completely died yet, but they also use it for those space Zoom calls, like celestial Zoom calls, where he's talking to the Regent Belisarius in that 3D space. This is basically meant to be their version of Darth Vader getting his armor put on. There's a much longer montage of all the villagers arming up and General Titus basically telling them to grab anything that could possibly be used as a weapon. There are a couple of scenes in the main characters, like Tarek is helping them sharpen all the blades. This was Den. He was supposed to be the best hunter in the village. They cut his scene with General Titus talking about grabbing every hunting knife, every blade. He's cocking the rifle, though, like he's meant to be a crack shot. There's a little montage of all the women practicing with their blades on all the straw dummies. Nemesis is supposed to be one of the deadliest blades in the known universe. Korra seems a little hopeful, like they might actually have a chance. This was that water girl that Korra saved from the Mother World troops earlier in the first movie, just showing that she can shoot, like, oh, hey, she's a crack shot. Then we get Admiral Noble's dreadnought entering orbit and starting to land all their larger forces, like all their troops, all their heavy infantry gear, all their large siege weapons, a bunch of ships. This seems like a flashback for General Titus's character to that battle that he keeps referring to that caused him to go AWOL, desert the army basically. It seems like all these people wound up getting massacred, like some big shot from orbit comes and destroys them all, and that's the thing that broke him. Not sure who it is here that's jumping off the building, killing themselves, but look in the background though. This seems like it's happening on Motherworld, and these towers are being destroyed by this dreadnought that's going kamikaze on them. It might be Admiral Noble's dreadnought, so this might actually be after the final battle on Velt. They might wind up winning. The rebels might wind up getting Admiral Noble's dreadnought and using it against Motherworld. This might be a Nemesis flashback just to show more of her origin story, like how she became the way she is. This arm belongs to her. You see it in this scene here where she's using her twin lightsabers. Then we get a much bigger montage of different scenes of people fighting across that big battle on Velt. This scene seems like Cora in the flashbacks because she still has the short hair. Not sure what the fire is behind her here. This might be like right before she deserted the army. There are a couple scenes of the rebels helping them on Velt, so like I said, it does seem like they do show up during that battle to help them. This scene is of Nemesis inside their main town hall when they're training to get ready to fight the Motherworld. There's a couple different scenes of the characters like Tarek walking through the battlefield here, all the ships fighting in the air, a bunch of aerial battles. Then it actually looks like Cora's attacking someone on one of the Motherworld ships, and it seems like they give her a blue lightsaber. Copyright safe lightsaber. Like I said, part 2 is coming in April. They'll probably release a much bigger trailer pretty soon, so of course I'll do whatever videos they wind up releasing. But if you have any big questions about what's going on with the characters, or just the lore, or the mythology just in general, just write them below in the comments. I just did my Aquaman 2 post-credit scene video. It is the end of the DCEU to talk about Zack Snyder, like big coincidence. It's like the last remaining DCEU movie of what he helped create with Man of Steel in 2013. 10-year run. Click here to watch that, and click here for that Henry Cavill Warhammer trailer video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.